I guess the guy's name is Vivek Ramaswamy. Ramaswamy? Ramaswamy? Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy destroyed the Breakfast Club. You can watch this video. I've already watched it. It's got me. Shout out to this couple here. What do they call themselves? Sibo and Snappa? What kind of... Okay, whatever. I'm not... Forget it. Sibo and Snappa. Oh, God. Why would you call... Okay. Let me check. Anyway. Shout out to them. Sibo and Snappa. They snapping all right. Shout out to them for being on the side of Republicans. Hate to tell you. Now, that's not a Republican name for the show. Sibo and Snappa is not Republican. That's about as Democratic. Hopefully, this ain't their real names that they use out in public. Because you walk up to some people. Oh, I'm Sibo. This is my wife, Snappa. Or wait a minute. Maybe Snappa's the guy. I don't know. But I'm just going to play a little bit of this. Just to show you what they're doing. They're interviewing this guy. I guess his name is Vivek Ramaswamy. Okay? I guess they're interviewing him at the Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club. Okay? I've never liked the Breakfast Club. I just felt this, because when I look at the Breakfast Club, I see that as a black thing. I'm not into black stuff. Black folks need to blend in with everybody else. That's just my personal opinion. When you do black stuff, you get stupid. There's no such thing as black stuff. Oh, it's a black show. The only show that I ever looked at that was black, I take that back. The only show that I ever looked at that was black, okay, that I really, 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 really enjoyed was The Cosby Show. Because obviously the Cosby Show was more Republican based. It was about American values, Now, do I believe that Bill Cosby slept with all them women? No, I don't. I believe he slept with one, and that's all he needed for them to come back and, destroy him for whatever reason, over some thousands and millions of dollars that he was about to inherit over a TV show that he was about to be the head star of again. Okay? And they wasn't having it. So all these women just come out of nowhere, and Bill Cosby's looking at him like, maybe I wish I had slept with you, but I don't think I did. I don't remember you. I remember her, the rest of y'all. Maybe y'all drugged me and all took turns sleeping with me. Maybe that's what y'all did, Because he didn't have trouble getting any white women, okay, when he was, a younger star, okay? If he was having trouble getting white women, it was because he was trying to save the black people, okay? But he himself didn't have any trouble getting black women. Let's get that off the top. Bill Cosby was a flirt, and he didn't have any trouble getting white women because of his money and his performances and his prestige, and you know. But that's another video. I just never believed. Oh, come on. I just never believed that that was possible, that really happened. And it's funny how black people don't believe a lot of things that are obviously right in front of your face fact. But they believe that Bill Cosby slept with all them women. Okay, I don't. I don't believe he slept with all them women. I definitely don't believe he raped all them women. He drugged them women and raped all them women. I don't believe that crap. Where did he even have that kind of time on his hands? Like, let me shut up. But anyway, and why would he do that? When he was the most, in my opinion, most moralist. Because, you know, all the other comics, they use, you know, fornication. They use cussing and just talking negative about everybody and talking nasty. They go to the core of being nasty in order to make people laugh. Bill Cosby never did that. He was able to make you laugh about simple things. Okay? Like kids looking up in the ceiling, you trying to talk to the child. He up in the ceiling, he all up into the ceiling tile and junk. The way, you know, the way Bill Cosby would express something like that was very funny. Okay? Just simple things in life, you know. Like, you know, having your first child. The funny moments of having your first child. You know, simple things in life that we all go through in life. But he made them interesting to go through those things because he made them funny and entertaining. On stage, anyway. Okay. But yet, somehow, the most moralist and I think Christian man in comics, in black comedy. It wasn't black comedy, it was world comedy. Bill Cosby wasn't out to impress black people. You can tell. He was never out to impress black people. Matter of fact, he went off on black people before he was accused of all these, you know. And one of the top girls was an NBA basketball lesbian. And somehow Bill Cosby drugged her up and slept with her. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with that. I'm really, she was uglier than that girl that went to out of the country and was trying to sell something. Was trying to steal marijuana or smuggle marijuana into what was it, China or Japan, Russia, I forget what country she did it in. Was it Russia? I forget. But this girl that accused Bill Cosby of drugging her up and sleeping with her, well, you know what? I think if Bill Cosby drugged her up, he drugged himself up before he slept with her. He got drunk, too, because in order to see any reason to sleep with that woman, you know. And then again, people ain't thinking like, we're talking years ago. This woman was the youngest one in the pack. All the other women were like a little bit younger than Bill Cosby. But this one woman that they put in there. So you're telling me that Bill Cosby slept with her when she was 18 years old or younger? Like white people allowed white teens to be in a room with a black man in the first place. I quit. Let me play this. There's a woman on here that's part of the Breakfast Club. She's in a different room or in a different place. And she's the one that's creating all the arguments with this guy. But what's stupid about it on his part is that he went there. See, let me tell you something. At this point in the game, Republicans don't have to impress Democrats. I don't have to go anywhere and sit in between a bunch of Democrats and let them judge me. And I'm going to say this because people that trip over Trump don't understand. I tell people all the time. They say, you voted for Trump? I'm a Republican. I was never going to vote for nobody Democrat. Number one. Number two, I'm a Republican. I voted for whoever won the Republican vote. It could have been Benjamin Carson. It could have been Ted Cruz. It could have been Rubio. They was all going to get my vote because they're all Republicans. Now, some people believe that if a Republican or a Democrat, whichever one you are, shows up that you don't like, then you just don't vote that year. No. Because to me, as a Christian, I'll never, ever, pass up the opportunity for a Democrat not to win. Because the Democratic Party, I'm going to say it for the last time, the Democratic Party is not really a party. The Democratic Party is an agenda. It's an agenda. They're doing more with it than worrying about the so-called victims like they do on here. The victims. Everybody's a victim in the Democratic Party. That's why we need to have a Democratic Party. The white folks that are in the Democratic Party that are wealthy and all that kind of stuff and in leadership roles and all that stuff throughout the country, they want to sit there and say, well, I'm a Democrat for the black people. I'm a Democrat for the immigrants. But I think if anybody, before I mess with this, I think anybody that is a Democrat, you're in it for yourself. You're in it to see what you can get out of it for yourself. You don't care about other people. You don't care about other people. You might care about dogs and cats and maybe some raccoons and, but you don't care about other people. All you care about is yourself. They're going to tell this man here that he's in it for himself. No, he's in it for the country. Now, sure, there's a little bit of self in there because nobody wants to live in a country where they're put on the back burner all the time. Nobody wants to live in a country where their entire race is on the bottom. Nobody wants to live in a country where, women don't have rights or gay people are not treated as citizens or whatever. Nobody wants to live in a country like that. If you're gay, you don't want to live in a country where gay people aren't treated as citizens. If you're a woman, you don't want to be in a country where women don't have rights. If you're Indian, Arab, whatever, you don't want to be in a country where, and the thing why we fight, the reason why we go Republican and Democrat is because of us, not because of the country. And he said it. But it's because of us. Because we're fighting. The parties aren't really fighting as much as we're fighting amongst each other. This is why we go Republican, Democrat, and all like that. Because we was fighting before we worried about voting. We were fighting before election season came. It's us that are fighting. Okay? Now, in my life, the only time that I'm addressed with these things is right here, via YouTube. Okay? Because where I'm at, okay, gay people ain't allowed to address me about anything unless,
border
whoops.
and put an end to the human trafficking and human.
They're not allowed to address me about anything unless they actually knock on my door. Or they come through my neighborhood, protesting and carrying picket signs or something like that. Now, to some of y'all, because y'all dealing with the streets and dealing with, you're getting involved in places that are kind of shaky or whatever. Yeah, you're gonna have, but I've never had an argument with a gay people about being gay. I never had an argument with a live gay person about being a Christian. Only arguments I've had with people right here in the comment sections on my videos. I argue with maybe one or two atheists in my time. They weren't really arguments. The atheist didn't want to argue with me because he knows, okay, you ain't gonna talk over me, okay, and you ain't gonna win. Because even if I shut my mouth, I'm gonna just say, okay, hold that happy thought, Peter Pan. Do your thing. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I'm still better off as a Christian. It doesn't matter how good your argument is. Why would I be an atheist? I want to be an atheist so that I can practice all the immorality, capitalize the I, immorality that I want. And then say morality is subjective. My issue today is, again, with black folks. Because black folks don't understand that, yes, you went through slavery, if you did. If you did. Most of us don't really know our ancestors. And a lot of us haven't even had these conversations with our grandparents, okay? So, just because you black, that don't mean you was there. Well, you wasn't there. Your ancestors was there. But just because you black, that don't mean your ancestors were there, because black people are not just African, but some of us are African. Most of us are not, but some of us are African. Some of us are Hebrew. Most of us are Hebrew. Okay? Some of us are South Americans, and going all the way, into, Brazil and, what Brazil was before it became the Brazil that it is today. The Caribbean, the places where you wasn't worried about black folks being slaves. They had other issues, okay? But just because you brown skinned, that don't mean you went through slavery. And I feel bad that somebody growing up black, and that might be the way people treat you, it might be, but somebody growing up black just assumes that he has to argue, that he's a victim of society because of the color of his skin. No, you're not a victim until you go to apply for that job and you find out don't nobody black work there. And they had no intention on hiring your black behind. This is real profiling. And it's not always racism. Profiling is not always racist. Profiling, well, I take that back. Profiling is not always, and it's definitely not systemic racism. Okay? Profiling is saying that these people here have a tendency to not work well at this job. So, we don't really, and then not only that, if you're dealing with customers and that, back in the day anyway, they would say, well, we don't want, and I've had white people tell me this to my face, I don't want you to get yourself tangled up, D-Roy, with these people in here that don't really take well with black people. I had a guy that I work with, he wouldn't take me on the road with him to certain places because he was afraid for my life. He afraid for my life. It was a white guy I worked for. He wouldn't take me on the road to certain places. I was his first command, his first in command. I was his first officer. Okay? He would not take me to certain places because he felt that that the people wouldn't treat me right. They would look at me instead of what my job is. And they wouldn't want me in their homes, and they wouldn't want me, telling them, this and that and the other. They would be disrespectful because of the tension between whites and blacks. So they would, so he said, I'm gonna have to ask you to bench this one. Okay? And I didn't take no offense to that because it's true. Okay? And it's not really racism because you'd be surprised when people are really racist. Real racists will not hire black people to do anything. Not even wash their dishes. They won't hire black people to do anything. Okay? Real racists will try and build a life to where they are far away from black people. They have nothing to do with black people. Nothing. They don't eat in restaurants where black people go. They don't live in towns where black people pass through. Racism is so dumb that white people have to go to crazy, silly, stupid extremes in order to be racist. But see, the way they're talking to this brother here on this show right here, the Breakfast Club, it's like, you're racist because you're a Republican, number one. And you're racist, number two, because you're not us. We're all black here. Everybody in this panel is black. You the only one coming in here looking like you Indian or from a Spanish, race or something, Everybody else here is black, so you lose. And they're all going to sit there. There's 3 of them there. They're all going to act like victims to this man. When there's only one of him. But by him, they invited him. They invited him. But yet, they're a victim to him. Well, if you're a victim, what you invite him for? See, to me, if black people want to play the victim, okay, and blame somebody else for their problems, they should keep that among black people and keep that among black people like themselves. And vice versa. White people, Spanish people, Indians, Arabs, whoever. Don't put that on YouTube. You ain't helping nothing by putting that on YouTube. Don't put that out there in the street. You ain't helping. Okay? Even stuff like George Floyd. Okay, a lot of us are tripping over George Floyd and how he got killed. A lot of us ain't. You should, it's like a funeral. Everybody's not invited. Everybody shouldn't be invited to worship George Floyd. everybody should not be invited to monumentalize George Floyd. Because it ain't everybody's issue. I don't have an issue. Okay? If I got shot right now by a cop and I live to tell about it, okay, I'd still be the same D-Roy that I am. I'd still be a Republican. I'd still love white people. I'd still, love the world like I've been loving it all this time. Okay? I still would.
Humanitarian crisis that is taking place.
I gotta put a screensaver on this computer. I like it because it's giving light. I have the light over there hidden behind my fan. It is 6 o'clock in the morning here in Pittsburgh, and the sun has not fully come out yet. It's going to be a hot one, and it's going to be a humid one already. July couldn't wait. I have the light from my laptop shining on my phone, and also have my lamp back there hitting the wall behind my fan. So that helps. But anyway, let me chime in here, and I'm not really here to. I'm here to talk about this video. I don't want to play this video really at all, but I'm just going to let you get a little taste of it.
Yeah.
You know, we back at it.
Back at it.
Fresh off the beach, straight in here to record for y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Get to it. This was hot. This was really hot.
It was kind of like a high priority.
Had to get in here and do it.
Cause there's how do you pronounce that? Is it Vivek Ramaswamy? Vivek?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he was on the Breakfast Club, and y'all all know, for ones that don't know, who don't watch kind of like hip hop kind of stuff. There's a show called The Breakfast Club, and
Breakfast Club.
It's called The Breakfast Club, and they're a little bit more. When I look at them now versus when I look now, I notice I'm like, man, these guys. This show is really left-leaning, and it's left-centered focus. Because when you go right, you can see what the left looks like. And Vivek Ramaswamy is doing an interview with them, and from what I'm hearing, that he kind of just shuts everybody up because they don't have a clue. It's about the left. And I guess they're assuming that.
And I bet too, they didn't do much research.
And I think the whole.
I bet you they didn't do no research.
I think the movement of the left is dying. Okay. I feel like that's dying. I feel like now people are waking up.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So we're gonna do this, man. He's talking about because he's gonna run. He's running for president. He also talking about leadership, civil duty, and affirmative action, and more. So I'm gonna see what they talk about on this show. But I know they're about to get roasted because Ramaswamy be like he know his stuff. Be on point. So if you don't know your stuff, then it's gonna really look crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
Is with us this morning,
I can't wait to see you attempt this name.
and we got a special guest in the building, Vivek Ramaswamy. Did I say it right?
That's actually pretty good. It's better than most
Pretty
hosts. Yeah, it's like Ramaswamy, like CD-ROM, but yeah.
Well, I said Ramaswamy.
Yeah, you got it.
Ramaswamy.
Good.
Well, good morning.
Good to see you guys.
How you
See
feeling?
you too.
Feeling good, guys.
You're running for president.
I am.
Running for president. Yeah, you're actually polling third behind Trump and DeSantis right now.
Wow.
Did not know that.
A distant third.
A distant third.
Distant third,
I was
yes.
about to say the third from second is huge, but what do you think you need to do to close that gap?
I mean, most people in this country do not know who I am. So against that backdrop, the fact that I'm ahead of a vice president and a bunch of U.S. senators and a former U.S. ambassador and governors is honestly ahead of where I expected to be right now. Mm-hmm. Our goal was to be in third by the end of the year. And then you have the Iowa caucus, and then you have the New Hampshire primary. And the fact that you go those early states in order makes it possible for an outsider like me to actually do this, because we spend a lot of time getting to know people in those states. And so it's going to be a steady process. The debates, I think, are pretty key. They start in August. I'm qualified for the debate stage already. I tend to like settings where we're debating. So hopefully that goes well, and
Okay.
we'll see where this takes us.
Does anybody who's not a white male really stand a chance of being the Republican? No,
Absolutely. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that there is
They don't
this.
seem like they're open to that kind of diversity.
But they said that same thing on the same kind of thinking was on the Democratic side. Nobody ever thought they were going to see a black man be a president, so it's the same thing on the Republican side. Republican side were easy, open up to a black man, Ramaswamy or Tim Scott. Yes, no question. But, you know, there's a order of things that need to go first, though.
I'll be honest with you. I travel the country. I have not really experienced meaningful racism from grassroots conservative audiences for the last, several years that I've been, since I stepped down from my business career. That was a different world I was in. But for my book tours and everything else, and then now for this campaign, traveling the country, it's funny. That's the impression that you get from the media. Meeting people from Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, New Hampshire, I don't see that at all. In fact, I just see a hunger for substance, ideas, what's actually going to make the country better.
Let's go.
Actually, I'm very encouraged by that. And I think that more people should. I used to live here in New York as well. And I'm not saying this about you guys, but I remember for me, you get trapped in a bubble. When we get out of that
I'm
bubble.
from Moncks to South Carolina.
Right.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah,
South
so I know.
Carolina. When did you grow up there?
My whole life. I didn't move to New York till 2006. So I understand exactly what you're
2006.
saying.
Yeah, but I actually think a lot of what I'm saying is specific to. I think the country is in a different place today, even than it was in the 90s and 2000s. I grew up in
most
Southwest
definitely.
Ohio in the 1990s.
Yeah.
Very different environment than it is today. But anyway, I mean it as a good note. I don't think that there's some sort of racist obstacle in the mind of Republican primary voters. Actually, if you look at the Republican field, even some of those other people on that poll you were mentioning, Tim Scott, Nikki Haley,
yeah.
go down the list. There's even others as well. Larry Elder, black man is running. I think we'll see who ends up succeeding. But whoever it is, I don't think it's going to be a racial bias that holds me back.
Why should people vote for you?
Yeah, so I'm somebody who would.
See, Envy look like, to me, I feel like Charlamagne will be more like, listen, Envy seemed like he already got his mind set.
And Charlamagne so far seems to be open.
A little bit more open.
is coming in as an outsider to the system. And I think in the White House, when it comes to the White House, if we really want to reform a lot of the corruption in government, it is going to take an outsider to get that job done.
I believe that.
37. I'm the first millennial ever to run for president as a Republican. And I think I have a view on our generation of what's going on in the country, where we are all so hungry for a cause, for purpose and meaning and identity. But the things that used to give us that sense of purpose, faith, patriotism, family, hard work, these things are out.
Yeah, correct.
And that's why we latch on to
And this is,
fill in the blank. In conservative circles, a lot of us will point to wokeism, gender ideology, the climate cult, COVIDism. But you could fill in the blank with depression, anxiety, drug use,
tell them,
suicide.
get them,
Yes.
get them.
I think these are symptoms of a deeper hunger for purpose and meaning in our country. And so in some ways, I'm running as a member of my generation to say that we can fill that void with the things that actually give us real purpose. Revive family in America.
I have to ask a question based on what I just said, and I didn't realize I even said it. It's a good saying. I have to ask this question because black folks, a majority of black folks will always consider themselves, till the day I die and till the day they die, till the day their kids die, will always consider themselves victims of society, separate from the other half of America. And that includes black folks and every other brown skin race. Okay? What if George Floyd wasn't allowed to be monumentalized publicly on the streets of whatever city that he is monumentalized on? Like if there were no statues of George Floyd because the city or the state said you can't do that. you want to make a statue of George Floyd, you can put a statue of George Floyd in your church or in your schools or in your, you know, in your section of town, you know, the black community or something like that. George Floyd is not a discussion for all of America. He's a discussion for those that feel victimized by his death. Okay? Everybody doesn't feel victimized by George Floyd's death. Now, the thing is, the reason why George Floyd is put out in the street, out in the square, so that everybody can walk past it in that state. Okay? Everybody can walk past it. Okay? Is because they want you to think that they care about him being shot, about him being killed. Or not him being shot. George Floyd wasn't shot. It was a knee on a neck choke. They want you to think that they all care when they don't. A lot of people walking past that monument of George Floyd, that statue of George Floyd. A lot of people walking past there are going to be like, oh, statue of George Floyd. Wow. Poor guy, you know, got what he deserved. And black folks need to get themselves together. That's the way they're going to look at it. Tragic death. Sorry it happened. Sorry that, you know. And then, you know, we're going to sit there and make a monument out of George Floyd or put a statue out there of George Floyd. But black folks are still going to get shot for reaching for their phone. Because they didn't comply when the cop said, keep your hands where I can see him. He tried to reach for his phone and take pictures. They shot him because they didn't know whether he was reaching for a phone, a gun, or what, a slingshot or whatever. Okay, you know. I've seen cases, by the way, where black folks, where cops actually, have gotten, you know, set on fire, shot, stabbed, body slammed, taser taken off of them, the cop got tased, you know, different things when they approached the suspect and they said, put your hands where I can see him, where they forgot to tell the suspect to put his hands up or keep his hands away from his pockets or whatever. They walked up on a guy while he got his hands in his pockets, and the next thing you know, this cop's on fire. This guy pulled out some gizmo, set this cop on fire. He knew what he was doing. He had it all planned. Or he pulled out a gun, or he pulled out a knife, or he just like real quickly, you know, especially when it's, you know, it's a big dude, you know, big, strong, you know, muscle-bound black dude, or, you know, black dude weighs about 200 pounds or something. He just, you know, quickly dived up under, picked the cop up, body slammed him on his head. The cop's down there injured. He takes out the taser as the cop struggles with him on the ground. He pulls out his taser and tasers the cop. Okay, lucky for him, lucky for the cop, you know, backup shows up and they got their guns drawn and they're on chase on this guy or whatever. And sometimes, most of the time, well, sometimes, black guy gets shot because he had already taken the cop down, tased him, okay, and when he tried to run, he got shot. And there's always like 2 or 3 angles of a story, and one is that it's all on the police. That's the first one. It's all on the police, and a lot of white people will do this because they live in your town. They live among black folks. They just, you know, they're not going to get on there and say, well, before we say the cop did something wrong, let's look closer. No, they're going to say, oh my God, the cop just shot him while he had his back turned. And then, you know, y'all say, y'all don't know how police work works. Like, first of all, you're allowed to shoot somebody if they have any kind of weapon or they use anything as a weapon. You're allowed to shoot somebody if you're an officer and you tell somebody, well, no, you're not. But if you do, you know, and they find the gun on the person, even though he didn't draw it, you told him to put his hands where you can see him, and he didn't comply, and you shot him. When he goes down, if they find the gun on him, he's good. The cop's good. But if they didn't find a gun on him, even though he didn't comply, but they found a knife on him, they found pepper spray on him, they found anything that can be used as a weapon, then the cop was justified in shooting him whether he saw the weapon or not. Y'all don't know the rules of being a police officer before you judge cops. Y'all don't know the cops can shoot you for various reasons. And it ain't just about holding a weapon. Okay? Y'all don't know that a cop can tase you at any time. At any time. He can tase you for trying to run. He can tase you for getting loud with him. Like any hostile activity can get you pepper sprayed or tased. You need to learn the rules of being a police officer first. Okay? There's only one rule of not shooting a person. And that is that he complies with the cops tell him to do. If he doesn't comply, the only thing the cop has to say, well, we have reason to believe he had a weapon on him. That's all he got to say. Because when the cops pull over, okay, now, the other thing y'all don't realize is that a cop can stop you on the street for standing on the corner and ask to see your driver's license. For whatever reason, it's not about you, it's about the cop. The cop has a reason to ask you for your driver's license. You stand on the corner getting ready to cross the street. Excuse me, sir, before you cross the street, I need to see your driver's license. Hold up, I know my rights. Okay, well, your rights have nothing to do with the fact that that there was just a robbery in the store behind you and you fit the description. The cop wants to see your driver's license because your driver's license, you know, will match that fake credit card or that fake, you know, that fake name that you gave them or whatever. Your credit card will, you know, he's looking to match something up with your, he's looking to match something up with your license. Is the point. He doesn't have to have a right. He doesn't need credentials. The credentials are within the badge. He can ask you to, a cop can ask, if a cop is on duty, he's working the beat. He can ask anybody to see their driver's license. Now, he's not going to go around and just ask random people, oh, there's a lot of black people here today. We need to start asking people for driver's license. It doesn't work that way. But if, oh, there's a lot of black people here today, and obviously we're being called in for all this shoplifting, we need to start looking at driver's licenses. That's different. Okay? Okay? Also, I want to say this about profiling. We all profile people. Black people profile black people. Okay? We profile black people based on how they look, their mannerisms, how they talk to people, how they carry themselves. You know, especially when we're on a job, we're doing security or whatever. Okay? You know what I'm saying? At my job, we profile black people. Okay? If a white man come into my place of business looking like a bum, okay? A lot of white people look like bums. That doesn't mean that they're up to something. But black people don't dress like bums unless they're up to something. That's a profile, and yes, we do profile people. Like if two people come in there together and they both look like bums, one's black and one's white, and they're you know, they're coming in there together. Okay, maybe they're okay. They're just bums. Okay. But if a black person walk in there by himself, looking like a bum, while everybody else is dressed up, okay, and he ain't got a card key to get on the elevator. Highlight card key to get on the elevator. Then we leave our post and go check him out. We don't bother him. We just see what he's doing, make sure he does whatever he got to do and leaves back out. Why? Because in the city of Pittsburgh, especially downtown, there are a lot of homeless black people for whatever reason. Okay, and 5% of that homeless people, group of, well, I'll say more than 5%, maybe about 8% of that homeless group is white. Okay? The white people are more civilized about how they carry themselves. Sorry. That's the truth. They're more civilized. If you approach them, just like the other day, I walked up to a guy and I says, sir, I understand you're not a guest. We're closed. And he was like, how you know I won't get up out of this seat and slap the S out of you? Okay. I said, sir, I approached you nicely. Okay. And he I said, sir, you want me to call the police? And then I started walking away. He said, start saying all this other stuff. And he says, that's all you had to say. I said, that's all I did say. I let you know we're closed. I'm going to say it again. We're closed. I mean, what do you want me to say? You know, they're always hostile. If it's a white thing, why are they hostile to white security? Or I'm sorry, why are they hostile to black security guards who are not armed? We have no gun or no taser. Why are you hostile towards black security guards? See, it's not really about white that's bothering black people. It's really about right and wrong. It's not about black and white. It's about right and wrong. It really is. And black people, for some reason, it's in our heritage or some kind of way or something, that we always choose the wrong, and we always are uncivilized in the way we carry ourselves. Okay? You know. And this is not an outside joke, but we started off as slaves, so to speak. And there was a lot of interracial relationships between black men and white women, even during slavery. And it wasn't about slavery. It was about black men were more civilized, okay, well, before and after slavery, more after slavery. But a lot of black men were killed for having relationships with white women during slavery as well. As a slave, they were killed for that too. But right after slavery, when black men felt that they're not going to get any help from white people. They're going to do this by themselves. They built their neighborhoods. They built their homes. They asked white people. They begged white people, if necessary, for their help on different issues and things and supplies and so forth. And in the process of all that, they also were very civilized in the way they handled white women, because there were white women involved in the abolitionists. There were white women involved in the Jim Crow era of, white people trying to make peace between black and white, okay? The reason why you hate white people so much is because back in the day, but we're not back in the day right now. That's what this guy is saying. We're not back in the day. We're now. Not back in the day. Back in the day, it was just you and white people. And if there was any immigrants here, and I'm sure there was, smaller numbers than there are today, they were standing on the sidelines wondering what the heck is going on. Like the Chinese people were like, what's going on? Should we go get some chow mein chow or some Chu Manchu and go back to the shop, or what should we do? They're killing each other out, They didn't know what was going on because it was between blacks and whites, because the blacks were fighting to be free and fighting for citizenship, and the whites were afraid that slavery would cause animal behavior, because if you're a slave the way we were slaves, then you were treated like an animal. So they figure you can't let animals be free to come out here and terrorize our, and they always had that attitude. What is stupid and is ironic, is that they were actually right. Because when they set us free, it wasn't then. It wasn't the freedom of slavery, or being freed from slavery, I should say, that caused black folks to begin to act like animals. It was the civil rights movement that happened later. But during Jim Crow, how many black people felt like, if your nasty white behind don't want me using your water fountain, I don't want to use your stupid water fountain anyway. If your white racist behind don't want me in your little Doochie neighborhood, I don't want to be in your Doochie neighborhood anyway. Okay? How many felt like that? But today, oh, you don't want me in your Doochie neighborhood? And like the video I did probably about 6 videos ago, I did a video on here. I showed you a video of this black guy cussing out this white man that worked at this little mom and pop shop, okay, where they serve hot food. He's sitting in there. It's like a diner in there. He's sitting in there. And the thing is over. The situation's over, but the black dude decides to wait till it's resolved to start chewing out this white man. He eating like, this food is delicious. This white food is delicious. He's eating. And he's chewing out this white man. And the white man's sitting there like, this white food ain't all that great this morning. Okay? And he's sitting there eating it slow, like it ain't all that great. He tired of the same old food selection every day. He's sitting there like being real calm about why this black brother's going on. He cutting and dicing and like, ooh, this food is good. How you gonna say to me as a black man? I'm thinking, that food that that white woman just spit in, it's really good to you, isn't it? Because that would be my main concern. If you don't want me in your restaurant, or if you think my rap music is too savage for your restaurant, for your diner, then how do I know you didn't spit in my food when you served it to me? But oh, he was tearing that food up. Brother was tearing that food up, and this white man was like, "You knock yourself out." I think I'm gonna read paper. You know what I mean? But you know, I don't get it.
Episode.
But anyway, I want you to,
we have right.
I want you to see this woman. When she shows up, I'm going to stop. I want you to see her. There's a black woman on here. Very pretty. My God darn, she's pretty. Very pretty. A lot of makeup, though. You can tell that's all, she got so much makeup on. That's not even her skin color. She got a lot of makeup on. But she is very pretty. But she is very, 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 very much a slave, which I look down on. She's a slave of her own culture. This woman is a slave of her own culture. This is why I am a Christian. And this is why I don't relate being black. The last thing I want to do, because, white people, it is true. The white people, they weren't really white, though. I think they were either French or, whatever those are. Whatever the French were back in that day or whatever. It wasn't no plain Jane, turn red when they stand in the sun, white people. Okay? Turn red when they laugh, smell like sweaty dog people when they sweat. Okay? It wasn't them kind of white people that brought Christianity into America. Oh, they was white. They was Caucasian, but this here is the more sherbet end of it, okay? Forgot to put my do not disturb on. Hold on a second. I want to put my do not disturb on. Hold on a second. Do not disturb. Put that on. Thank you. All right, now let me go back to what I was doing. There we go. Let's go back to this. There we go. Look at that. See how I did that? Get off of there. Okay. It is true that white folks brought Christianity into the United States. And you being set free by Christianity as black people, you were set free by Christianity. You were not set free by the pyramids. You were not set free by anything African. You were not set free by anything, like Hebrew Israelites or anything like that. You were not set free from that. You were set free from white people. Get that in your thick skull. It was the white abolitionists and the white Christians that even came later after the abolitionists. It was the Protestants, the white Protestants, that set you free, that fought for your freedom. It wasn't all white people, but it was the white Protestants in and out of the White House, in and out of politics, before there even was a White House, that set you free. It was more white than black. Sure, the blacks marched and they fought back. They fought back. But it was more whites that provoked and a definite decision for your freedom. The problem that you don't want to admit is that the civil rights movement got us all screwed up, you know. And you don't want to admit that that's when black people begin to act like animals and begin to rob and steal, okay, fight and hurt each other, and you know. And when you failed at doing it to white people, even then you had a mission. You wanted to make white people respect you. But when you found out that, you know, when they cleared the streets, took the cops off the streets, took the blacks off the streets, the people were crying and yelling and wanted you to, like, stop the violence for the sake of their neighborhoods, for the sake of their children, both white and black. They wanted you to stop this stuff. Then here come the welfare system to make up for it. The welfare system and all this new government crap. And this is where we begin to not be concerned about capitalism. We started calling capitalism a white thing. He talked about that here. We started calling capitalism a white thing. It's not. Capitalism is an American thing. Whether white people started this country or whoever you think started it, the point is it was already American before. It was already the American rule before you ever became a slave. You don't get out of slavery and say, oh, well, we hate capitalism. Okay. Capitalism is a white thing. You know, no. If you don't capitalize, how will you ever have a business? If you don't capitalize, you will always just be working for McDonald's. You will always be in a rinky-dink job. White people know, and they teach their kids this, that capitalism is what gets us out of McDonald's and into Chase, or gets us out of, you know, working a rinky-dink job to having a successful, to becoming a successful businessman. Okay? Slavery was owned by businessmen. And that's why you hate it. But it wasn't just about slavery, it was about the American way. You know, the American way, slavery is one of their boo-boos. It's bigger than a boo-boo, I understand. But it is one of their boo-boos that they should have never let become a boo-boo. Okay? And I say the same thing they say. I'm sorry. That was a horrible thing that they did. That was a horrible thing that we had to go through. But America is still America. And America is still, thank God for these goddamn white people. Because while they was building the nation, we were slaves. And when we got out of slavery, they was like, well, you want jobs so bad, maybe you can build some stuff. And we got on the stage after the civil rights movement around that time. We got on the stage and we failed. Okay? And how many times have we been on the stage? The last time we got on the stage, we got on there and presented rap music. The dumbest thing to ever try to make a colonialism out of. Okay? That's like eating chitlins. Like, don't go out there and advertise chitlins to everybody, man. It'll make you look stupid. I've seen I had a pastor friend of mine. Oh my God. I mean, and he's a conservative like myself, but he just went on this chitlin rant one day. Because we were sitting around these white people and we were talking about plans for Thanksgiving with this group of white Christians, and he just started talking about chitlins. And white people started leaving the room. And other white people had to tell him, like, yeah, well, like, what else you got? And it just came out of him, like, he just went on a chitlin rant. And I'm like, dude, are you trying to say that people, I asked him in the car on the way home, I had to get on his case. I said, what was that? Like, were you trying to make, because most of the people in the room and most of the people in our church are white. So what were you trying to do? Were you trying to make them feel like if they really believe in the spirit of Thanksgiving, that they should eat chitlins? That they can't say that they don't like chitlins? Why? How many black people don't like chitlins? Look at this guy's face right here in the middle of the screen. That's a chitlin face. Okay? That's what some black people look like when you say, look at his face right here. Right here, look. Right here, look. Right here. Look at that. That face right there. See that? See that face? I could use my pointer and point out his face, but I'm not going to go through all that. But that's a chitlin face. That's what a lot of black people look at other black people like when they say chitlin. Now, I've had some good chitlins in my life. But all them chitlins, the good chitlins that I ate over the years as a child was from my grandmother. My aunt, my mother, my other aunts and cousins and all them could not make chitlins like my grandmother. Whenever they fed me chitlins, I wasted them. My grandmother made them chitlins taste good. And I could tell you some secrets, but you got to learn that on your own. But anyway, it's not about black people, and it's not about chitlins. It's about America. America was America before there was slavery. America was America before there was black people. Well, before there was black people in America. You got to understand that, sure, you went through slavery a long time ago. But before you went through slavery, we were Americans. You were slavery on American soil. And you keep forgetting that. So now that you're out of slavery, you think that America has become something different. It did become something different. It became anti-slavery. Now, there's still slavery practiced in other countries, but there is no slavery practiced in the U.S. Okay? Now, you say America has become something new because of black people. It did become something new. It became anti-slavery. But, and I'm saying this to blacks and immigrants, mainly immigrants, because they got an issue too. Yes, I'm sticking up for these white people. Because, look, when we go over to your country, we have to learn enough language so that we can communicate with you, so that we don't end up eating dog doo-doo at your restaurant, or eating, putting something in our mouth that ain't good for us, or drinking water that ain't water at all, it's something else, or you know what I'm saying? We have to be able to communicate with you, number one. When we go over to your country, we don't get to celebrate Black Lives Matter or White Lives Matter in your country. When we come over to your country, and white people have said this. White people have said this more than anybody else. When we go over to your country, we have to respect the natives. and respect their culture. We don't get to come in there and try to make their culture black. We don't get to come in there and try to make their culture white, if that is a thing to begin with. Okay? We have to follow the cultural standards and customs that are already in that nation, including the languages, including even the religion. Now, we don't have to become Muslim. We don't have to become, a Buddhist or anything like that. But we have to respect that we are under Buddhist culture. We have to respect that we're under Muslim culture. When Christians, white and black, go over to Muslim countries, they put on the hijab or the hijab in respect for the Muslims' culture. We're still Christians, but just in respect for their country and culture, we wear the hijab. The women anyway, and the men wear the head things, whatever, depending on what neighborhood they're in, whatever, they wear the head thing too. It's not a hijab, it's something else. But I've seen black men and white men go over there and wear that, okay? We do it not to join your religion, but to be in respect of yours, okay? Of your religion, okay? And your culture, mainly your culture, okay? They don't do that here. Neither do we go over to other countries and segregate ourselves. This goes for black people and immigrants. We don't go over to other countries and segregate ourselves. If I go to China and I don't have some good Chinese friends that I can confer to, okay, I'm going to be lost. But they come over here and they don't need to learn the language. I've seen people in a situation where I'm trying to help them here in this country. And I said, ma'am, I don't speak no English. I know, ma'am, but your car is you're parked on the wrong side of the street. I don't want you to get a ticket. See how those cars are parked and how your car, I don't speak no English. Yeah, but you knew how to say you don't speak any English. I'm sure you know other sentences other than I speak no English, It's the woman's on the elevator and I'm trying to I ask her what floor is she going to, so I can push the button for her, I don't speak no English. Okay, stay on the elevator then. I'm going to the top. She gonna let me go all the way to the top. Now she gotta get on there, and I guess she gonna go all the way to the top with me when we're already going up. She gonna go all the way to the top with me because she don't speak English. Okay, 20-some floors. Okay, and she's gonna come back down. I guess in her own language. There ain't nothing on that elevator that lets her know what floor she's on except numbers. I guess she know numbers, but she don't know letters. It kills me. But black people, it's the same thing for you. You cannot afford, because while the immigrants were trying to get over here back in the day, while they were trying to get over here to this country, you were basically an immigrant as well because you were slaves. So you don't know all the communication techniques. You don't know all the language. You don't know the different cultures of America. It's not just white culture, but these white people are various cultures. They're Italians, which I don't consider Italians white people. They're more melanated. But there's Italians, there's French, there's German, there's Russians here. There's Russians here. Watch your back. Watch your back. Be nice to the Russians. Watch your back. This is a bad time for Russians. They're getting their butt kicked by. What's the name of that place? I done forgot it. What's the name? Oh, I done forgot the name of the Ukraine. They're getting their butt kicked by Ukrainians. Okay. Don't make no Russian jokes right now at this time. You'll get your black, white butt killed. Leave these Russians alone. Don't be coming. Hey, I've seen some white people say, hey, man, what do you think about what's going on in Ukraine? This Russian guy's like, he didn't say nothing. He just looked at him like, I got in an Uber one day, and this guy scared me. We were talking about the Ukrainian and the Ukraine and America, and this guy was from Ukraine. And they said on the news that America and Ukraine had a good relationship until this happened. And they don't feel that America's doing what they need to do. And so I was trying to, save America, so to speak, like I do with black people. Trying to save America, trying to save white America, I'm trying to protect the white people, okay? I said to this guy, I says, well, I hear on the news that America, and this guy, he couldn't barely speak English. I didn't understand anything he said till I said this. I says, well, hopefully America will step in, because I hear that America and Ukraine have always been good friends. And he was like, no. No, he got all loud. He was like, no. Ukraine has never been friends with America. Ukraine has never been friends with America. That is a lie. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. But let me finish this, because I just want her face to pop up, and then I'm done, so you can see who I'm talking about here.
With the things that actually give us real purpose. Revive family in America. That's actually a big part of my plan.
So far, he's crushing it.
What allowed me to achieve success. My parents gave me a great family foundation. I didn't grow up in money. We're trying to give that to my 2 kids as well. I want that to be enjoyed by Americans across the country. Belief in the country, national pride. Less than 16% of Gen Z even says they're proud to be an American. I'm not making this one up. This is about a month ago. There was a good survey. 60% of young Americans said that they would sooner give up their right to vote than to give up access to TikTok or other social.
Wow.
That's a problem. So I think we have a crisis of national pride.
Whose fault is that, though? That's America's fault. That's the system's fault for constantly failing the people.
Well, I see it. I see it less about we can allocate the blame. We can talk about allocating the blame. I think there's blame to go around. I think it's up to all of us to take a long, hard look in the mirror.
That's right.
And ask ourselves,
that's right.
What is that vacuum in our heart? It's an old saying that goes, if there's a hole the size of God in your heart and God does not fill it, something else will instead.
That's
I
right.
think the same applies for belief in a nation as well.
I mean,
He's
dropping bars
I'm gonna
here.
tell you something.
He's dropping bars.
I don't know now. After Trump, Ramaswamy. I think I'm gonna say Ramaswamy over DeSantis, 100%.
Okay.
And then Tim Scott, and then DeSantis.
So I think what's going on is we're human beings. What makes us different from animals is that we can believe. We need to believe in something bigger than ourselves.
That's right.
And when we lose God and family and country, we start believing in new false gods instead.
Ooh.
That's what's going on in the country. And so I don't
better
know that
say
it's
it.
so much a question of fault, but more a question of how do we actually revive our sense of
Oh, no,
self-confidence
it's
and
definitely
pride.
a question of fault.
No, but see, people on the left want to have to blame someone versus looking at themselves.
They need somebody to blame.
And everybody is a participating. Not everybody. I take that back. But many people are participating citizens in society.
Yeah.
So what is your contribution?
Correct.
Now we know that we vote certain people in office and they have a bigger role, but we are the ones that vote them in. But what are we doing to vote them in?
Correct.
Yeah.
I can absolutely blame white supremacy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, say more, and then I'll respond to that.
I mean, just look at the history of the country.
Oh my
It's
God.
really
I
just
forgot.
that-
I just have to remember that it just makes me think about, wow, I used to agree with Charlemagne and Envy on this kind of thinking. Now I look at this thinking as dated, dilapidated, and just tired.
The country has never fulfilled its promises of freedom, liberty, and justice for all.
That's not true.
Look where you're sitting now. You're a multimillionaire. Shut up, fool. You look at all your books on the back. Man, stop.
That's
what
not
you mean?
true.
What
That's
you
not
mean?
true.
Look what
Charlemagne is a multi-millionaire. Let me tell you something. There is a lot of people in this country that are making relentless money and given relentless opportunities and given relentless space, and they don't dress the part, they don't act the part. No, what they do is sit there and they talk like a victim. You know, you can put people like LeBron James and Charlemagne and different ones in a room together, okay, and that's a separate culture by itself, even separate from the rest of Black America. Because most people that I know, like, I can go to work every day and I can see Black people at my job yelling and screaming and acting a fool. You give them $1 million, I guarantee you, you'll never hear the word white come out of your mouth again. I guarantee you, you'll never hear the word systematic racism come out of your mouth again. You give them $1 million to do what they want to do with it. You know, they drive in the car they want to drive. Living in the house in the neighborhood that they want to live in. I mean, these people that invented Black Lives Matter, living, okay, off their profits, ain't sharing nothing with Black America, ain't doing nothing for Black America. But they living off these profits that they got for just creating this mess. They created a mess. It's a mess. And it is not the truth. It's a lie. They created a lie and they created a mess. And what do they have to show for it? Millions of dollars living in these fancy homes where all their neighbors are white. If Black Lives Matter so much that you had to go on $1 million spree, why didn't you put that money into the Black community and put your house in the Black community? You got enough money to do it. I would have took a part of the Black community in some community, in some Black community, in some Black community, somewhere in the U.S., bought the neighborhood, you know, took all them stores and that, and turned them into my little dynasty, turned them into my little safe house or whatever. Okay? And then invited all the other Blacks to come in there and shop and all like that in a place where there's no violence, ain't gonna be no shootings. And you know, that's what I would have did. Because why? Even though the money is in my hand, I created that money. I created this gig, you know, by and for Black issues. So I'm going to turn a Black issue into a better issue. That's what I would have done. Okay? And not just be like, oh, well, you know, I helped y'all little Black people out. So I'm going to move up here with these white people, which I hate. And I'm going to live right next door to them. Okay? And, you know, I'm worthy of my hire because look what I did for y'all. What you do for us? You got us out here fighting each other, and you got us hating white people, but white people ain't killing us like Black folks is killing us.
he's sitting. Look who you having a dialogue talking about that as a rich black man. Bruh, quit it.
Freedom, liberty, and justice for some. Usually that some is white people.
So here's what I would say in response to that. That is obviously true that the nation has fallen short of our promise since our founding. But walk through some obvious facts about America. We're not founded on an ethnicity or a monarch or a food or even a religion. We're founded on a set of ideals that brought a group of people together in 1776, and we live by those ideals. At least we aspire to those ideals today. A nation that aspires to ideals that's not made up of...
That is the only part that he said that I disagree with about. There's a reason why a lot of people call America a Christian nation. Okay? It's not a set of ideas. That's what a lot of people think about Christianity. That's what the atheists say about Christianity. They say it's a set of ideas. No, it's not. Christianity is a #1 bestseller, baby. It was a #1 bestseller before it ever got into the U.S. It was a #1 bestseller. Hold on. It was a #1 bestseller that we stole from other countries. Christianity is not American, black folks. It's American now because white folks took that like they took everything else. But that's not something that you can take. The people that they took it from are still practicing it. Okay? You know what Christianity is? Christianity is simply escape from the Catholic Church. That's what it is. That's why the Protestantism entered into the U.S. because Martin Luther and the others were running from Catholicism. They were running from the Vatican, what's known today as the Vatican. Okay? They were running from that. They escaped. You couldn't just leave, especially if you were a minister in that. You couldn't just leave. You had to run. You had to escape. They escaped here to America and brought Protestantism into the U.S. Protestantism is just simply the softer side of Christianity, which says, well, we just got here. Now we need to put it all together, okay, so that we can have real, genuine Christianity, okay? That's why we don't call ourselves Protestantism anymore, because the Baptists and the Pentecostals took Protestantism over. We're still Protestants. In other words, Baptists and Pentecostals and Lutheran. Okay? Lutheran is more Protestant than Baptists and Pentecostals because Lutherans still practice Calvinism, and Lutherans that's what the Lutheran Church was derived from, Martin Luther. So that's more Protestant than Baptists and Pentecostals. But actually the Baptists and the Pentecostals took Protestantism over. I think the Baptist Church is the best, revision of Protestantism. Is the Baptist Church. And let me tell you this too, if you disagree with anything that I say, you think I got my history wrong or something like that, put it in the comments section. And you know what? I'll look it up. I'll do my research, and I'll come back with an apology, or I'll come back with, another topic to, touch bases with that one. But, if you disagree with me about anything, let me know. Let me know.
Gods, but made up of human beings
Let's go.
will always fall short of those ideals.
Yeah.
So I think our worst hypocrisies as a country, and we have many of them, our worst hypocrisies are our best evidence that we have ideals at all. You take a look at other countries. Nobody ever calls the Chinese Communist Party a hypocrite, or China a hypocrite, or Iran a hypocrite. Why is that? Because to be a hypocrite, you at least had to have ideals in the first place.
But a lot of those
And so we're
ideas-
imperfect, but we are about the pursuit of a more perfect union, the pursuit of happiness. So America's about the pursuit. And so I think
Are
that
we,
trashing
though?
ourselves, I think we
The
are
only reason I
actually.
say that is because, we never were included in those ideals originally.
You're right, that though.
Yeah.
But never and not originally are two different things. Originally, that's true.
Yeah.
Over 250 years of progress, if you had somebody who was in 1870 looking at the world we live in today, if you had somebody in 1960 who was looking at the world we live in today as it relates to race in America, we would be darn close to what they would have thought of as the promised land.
Yeah,
So I
correct.
think we have to recognize that America is about that pursuit.
So
That's
leave
right.
the
We're a lot
past.
further along than we were 250 years ago.
Yes.
And here's the other thing, too. We got to set our expectations. We will always fall short of our ideals.
That's right.
By definition, if there are human beings and not gods living in a nation that aspires to ideals, we are fallen. Man
Yep.
is fallen.
Yep.
That's what makes us who we are. But what also makes us different from animals is that we have ideals. So America's founded on our humanity. That we can believe and aspire to something that we will still fall short of. That's what makes this country beautiful. And that's why that's why I'm in this. You ask me, why am I in this? I care about reviving pride in that nation, because if we get in the habit of just bashing that country, what are we bashing? We're bashing the last best hope that man has for aspiring to those ideals. Tell me
That's
who else has
right.
done better. I'll wait.
I don't think I'm bashing the country. I think I'm bashing the system. mostly.
Okay.
I want to change. I want.
Okay.
I want to change the system. That's
Well,
what I
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm with you on.
Again, I disagree with him as far as set of ideas, but I also disagree with the system. The system is the government. There's not a system outside the government. There might be a system that controls the government, but the system and the government are in the same pocket. The system and the government are actually that Democratic Party. They're not something out there that you can't explain. It's the skull and bones running the White House and the government, and the Illuminati. If it's still that, if that's what it still is, if they just throwing crumbs at you so you have something to focus your attention on. But I think the Illuminati is more about the other way. You have, capitalism. You have capitalism, those on the right that are capitalizing, and some on the left, and then you have, people that are already capitalized outside this, and they're able to make private money and live private lifestyles, and they find ways that those lifestyles cannot be tampered with. They can get away with crimes, and they can seduce people and manipulate people without having to answer for it. That's the Illuminati. Okay? But you as a black man or woman, your system is the same system that this guy is in, that the white man is in. Okay? The system is the same. If the same system that this guy decides to fight as a Republican, it's the same system that you're fighting as a black. If this guy, being Indian or whatever race he is, because he sure ain't white, if he is not a victim to the system other than to make it better, neither is your black behind a victim to the system. And I'm going to say something else. When white people are racist, they're not racist just to black people. It's not black and white. Racism in America is more about white people being segregated, wanting, plain and simple, not wanting to share America with other races. That's what racism is. It has nothing to do with George Floyd. It has nothing to do with just, black, there's something so special about black people that white people hate us, but they soft on everybody else. That's bullcrap. Racism is the same thing that it used to be from the start. They want America to be white, and they don't want to share it with other races. They want all 50 states. This is what white nationalism is. They want all 50 states to be pro-white. They want nobody to be able to do anything other than work, if necessary, work for the whites. And if you're working, but you can't live in my neighborhood, if you're working, but you can't date my daughter, if you're working, but you can't, but we're different, we don't eat the same food, we don't sing the same songs, we don't go to the same churches, we don't go to the same schools. If you're working for me and I'm above you and we don't have to share anything in common, then that makes me better than you because we share nothing in common. But the truth of the matter is we share everything in common. We all want the same thing for our children. Whether we're slaves or whether we're free, we all want the same thing for our children. And we all want to capitalize. We all want to own our own property and own our own things. We all want to dominate our own cultures. Everybody's the same because we're what? We're all humans before we're black. We're all humans before we're white. We're all humans before we're any other race. Get this in your thick skull.
On changing the system is what brings me into this.
And what's your thoughts on some of the people that you're running against, Donald Trump
I'm
and
just waiting for
DeSantis? What are your
this
thoughts
beautiful
on
woman to
them
show
and
up
their
who
leadership
is
and what
like
they've done for the country so far?
the
I think
dumbest
everybody's
bee
made their respective contributions.
met.
I respect some things about what each of them have done. I think the Republican Party, I tell this to conservative audiences all the time, obsesses over the question of the who. Ronna McDaniel, she was the chair of the Republican Party versus somebody else, or Kevin McCarthy or somebody else, or Donald Trump or somebody else. This is a superficial discussion versus actually just taking a step back, and the Republican Party does not do this enough. What do we stand for, and why do we stand for it? Actually, a lot of my criticisms are also directed at the fact that we define ourselves. When I say we, I'm running as a Republican, but as a party in opposition to something. All right, that's what Joe Biden did. That's what the radical left does. And race, gender, sexuality, climate. I'm opposed to a lot of these ideologies of identity, but the right falls into the trap of just saying we're not those things, and then we'll fight about which biographies win. Oh, I'm actually a bigger and more accomplished person than you, and I'm going to sling mud at you. Versus asking the question of...
It's funny how he's on his show. Republicans are always invited to a show, like they get invited to The View and stuff like that to explain themselves. But they're always outnumbered by a bigger crowd. If a Democrat never accepts an invitation to go speak before a bunch of Republicans. You ever notice that? I've noticed that. Like, I watch The View, I watch The Breakfast Club whenever people like, Sebo and Snapper, oh my God, say, shoot this out or something. I really don't get into the Breakfast Club because I knew they was pro-black and systematic racist bullcrap, the first day I seen that they were on YouTube, but you ever noticed that? I just want to know if you noticed that or not. Have you ever noticed that Republicans will go and stand before a room full of Democrats and let them all take turns yelling at him, or y'all all yell at him at one time and they're getting nowhere, okay? Whereas Democrats never invite themselves or never accept the invitation to go stand before a bunch of Republicans. I just wanted to know if you noticed that. I noticed that, okay?
What do we actually stand for? It's about individual.
But wait, don't both parties do that? The left is just as bad about that as the right. I think it's.
But no, the left is more accepting of all those things that he named versus.
No, I'm just saying he says that, the right is, okay, in more opposition to versus.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Mhm.
But I think both parties do that.
Let's hear him through.
Okay.
Hit the play button. You didn't stop.
Okay, chocolate.
Individual, family, nation, God. You can agree or disagree, but at least that's a vision that's different from a vision of identity grounded on race and gender and sexuality and climate. And so that's a long way
Yeah.
of saying, I guess, what I see is deficient in the field, and the entire Republican field, including candidates you mentioned, is they're all running from something. And I'm in this race because I want us to run to something.
What is that something?
A vision of what it means to be American. Okay? Revive the ideals of 1776. Revive the truth. Meritocracy, excellence, freedom of speech, rule of law. A radical idea. This is not a Democrat or Republican idea, that the people we elect to run the government ought to at least be the ones who actually run the government.
Right.
That's not the case today. You want to talk about fixing the system. You want to talk about one of the myths where we fall short of our ideals. We're taught in school that we have 3 branches of government. They're
Here it
irrelevant
comes.
compared to who actually runs the government. It's a 4th branch of government of 3-letter agencies in Washington, D.C. That is a formula for corruption. Corruption we get. That's
Wow.
a system we need to break down.
Who's those 3?
I mean, you could go down the list. SEC, FDA, EPA, TSA. The tens of thousands of government bureaucrats working in Washington, D.C., they're the ones who actually make the laws.
He's saying
It's not
something.
Congress.
go.
And that's a formula. And those people aren't elected. Nobody elected them. They're protected by these what are called civil service protections, which means even the president, technically, under many people's beliefs, can't fire them. That's the permanent state, what many in the right will call the deep state. I think that's a problem.
Yeah,
I
it
think
is
that
a
falls
problem.
short
That is a
of our
problem.
ideals.
That is.
I think the same FBI that threatened Martin Luther King with suicide on the back of incorrectly collected tapes is now committing, I would say, hypocrisy and corrupt actions against people of a different political persuasion that the FBI doesn't like today. I just think it's a formula for corruption when you have unelected bureaucrats that are actually setting policy. But that's a detail compared to my point, which is we need to revive the ideals that the nation was actually founded on and do a better job of aspiring to them.
And we have
That's
Tesla
right.
Figaro. I'm sure Tesla has some questions.
Oh,
Tez,
my
you
God.
good?
Yes, I do.
Yes,
So
yes.
I
I already know now. Like I saw just a little
that
bit of
name?
that part in the car. It just seemed like she
Tesla.
gonna just. Man, I wish we just skipped through her
Figueroa.
part. Be honest with you, but I need to play it.
Figueroa.
I've heard a
Desmond
lot
Figueroa.
of what you think and your vision, and I'm a very practical person, and I want to kind of opposed to talking about your opponents. Let's talk about you for a moment, and let's actually talk about your policy. Explain to me your position on this civic duty voting.
Sure. So my position is, I think that every kid who graduates from high school should know the minimums about the country that we require an immigrant to know about the country in order to become a citizen.
Okay.
So there's a test. My mom had to pass it. Every immigrant has to pass it to this country. That asks you some basic questions.
Dude's
What are the
honest.
3 branches of government? What branch of government does the U.S. president lead? Some basic questions about what is the Bill of Rights. It's like a multiple choice exam, or some of them you write in. I think that if we're going to ask immigrants to pass that test, as we should, I think every 18-year-old who graduates from high school should have to pass that as well, because young people, it goes back to that issue of pride. You don't value a country that you don't know something about.
Yeah.
You don't value something
Yeah.
you inherit.
Yeah.
So true.
You
Yeah.
value something you have a stake in creating, in building, or knowing
That's
something about.
right.
So how do we think big about this? Well, young people, as I told you, most of them, very few of them vote as it stands today. Super small numbers, and apparently 60% of them say they would rather give up their right to vote than give up TikTok. Well, I say, all right, let's take that to the next level. How about we do something that raises the voting age from 18 to 25, but you still get to vote at 18 if you just pass that same civics test that an immigrant has to pass in order to vote. And tests aren't for everybody, so be it. Then you at least serve in the military or a first responder role for 6 months. That's my civic duty voting proposal. And the reason is, I'll actually make a prediction. I think youth voting in this country will skyrocket. After from a very low level right now, it will skyrocket because you value something you actually have to earn. And I think that this is not a left-wing or right-wing point. We all have duties as citizens, right? You know, we aspire to free market capitalism, right? Materialist advance. And that's the life I've lived as well, by the way. My parents came to this country with not a lot of money. I've lived the American dream. I've made a lot of money by building businesses. That's one side of what it means to be an American. But part of it is we also have duties to this country. And I think the more we wake that up, actually,
Y'all
the
have
voting age only
duties
became
to this
18
country.
in 1971 in the context of the
Right.
Vietnam draft. So I just think reviving those ideas is
I
going
think
to be
you're
good for
asking
us.
a lot. So let's prove your point. Nick, our camera guy, do you know the three
how
branches of
rude.
federal
It's
government?
over 24, so it don't.
See, envy. What I feel like, I really promise you, man. I feel like envy is Lowball's side being a hater because he feels some type of way about Republicans, and that's what just hit the spirit of it. Just feels like
Don't be rude.
But I'm just saying, but nobody knows there are 24. Red, do you know the three branches?
Executive.
now. See, that was dumb on you.
Well, that's
that
your
was
fault.
dumb on
That
you.
was dumb on
I
you.
wouldn't.
Don't
I
ever
wouldn't even
tell
ask that
somebody.
Yes, you
question.
learned that in middle school.
I don't
you learned
know
that in
either.
middle school.
But
And
I
they
wouldn't
even
tell
teach
you
in a
that.
little part
I'm
of
not gonna
social
tell you
studies, but I
that.
know I learned that in middle school. It's social studies. Social studies.
I wouldn't have asked that question on the
I
show.
wouldn't
would've
ask
been-
that
Not at least high school. Come on, bro.
Look at his face.
I mean,
Well, I got a test. I got a
See what I'm
test.
saying?
I would like to see if you're willing to pass. Because I believe in, just as you believe in civic engagement, I believe in changing the ideas of what political opponents so look like, what they should look.
See, she's screwing up right there. This is, you can watch this video. I'm not gonna watch. You can see this video is, where is it? 57 minutes long, and I'm already over 57 minutes. So, I think, or about 57 minutes. It's going to get, because these two light-skinned people, I don't know what's up with black people that are light-skinned. They feel like they are not really black, or they feel like they're the better black, or whatever. But you see, he wants him to shut up. The light-skinned dude wants, Razamani, I think it is, to shut up and just let her talk, because now the woman, the black woman calls the black woman God. The black man calls the black woman God. The black woman has risen, and she's the queen, the goddess. She's going to speak, and you're going to shut up and listen because it's her turn to talk. But you invited me to your show. I thought this was about me. And then she gets on here and she says, oh, you're making it about you. It gets really bad because she starts coming after him personally for everything that she doesn't know. She probably doesn't even know what the three branches of government are. But because she did some things in high school and middle school compared to what other black folks didn't do, she thinks that makes her special. But if you did that stuff and you come out as a racist, or you practicing victimization politics as a black woman, then you didn't learn nothing when you took all those classes in school. If you're a victim, we're all victims. So, you're going to tell this guy he's making it about him, but you're making it about you. And I'm not going to sit there and bore you with that. You can watch this video if you want to. If you want to watch it in its entirety, you can watch it. But she's getting ready to just attack him personally and tell him, well, instead of us knowing what, she goes to asking him, did he do this in high school? And did he do this in middle school? And he says yes. He goes to counting all the different stuff he did in middle school, all the different extracurriculum he did in middle school that validates him wanting to be president. And she keeps attacking, and every time he answers her question, she goes to another one and says, well, you blah, 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 blah. And you'll see Sibo and Snapper going off because she gets really, really, really pro-victim. And it's all about her being a woman, a black woman, and being a victim. And she just, and it gets out of hand. And the poor guy looks at her like, I think he even asked a question. Did I make a mistake? You invited me on your show. Did I make a mistake? It come in here? Like, you know. But anyway, I'm DeRoy Cruz. I am your life applications officer. I said a lot of things. And I hope you have learned something from what I said, because I'm just stating the facts that are outside my doorstep, like I tell you. I learned about black people by working with them, riding the bus with them, listening to them, growing up in a black household, not to mention with, you know, like this lady, with a bunch, with about 6 beautiful black women, okay? Like her, very beautiful black woman like her. And, you know, black women have been taught that they have to be strong, you know. So if the black woman has to be strong, you can't go too strong as a black man without putting the black woman down. So I guess you just got to go hard. The black woman has to be strong. The black man got to go hard and practice violence out here and all this stuff, because the black woman's the strong one. She's wearing the pants in the family. She's the leader of the household. So the only thing the black man can do is protect the queen, the goddess. What kind of goddess needs protection? But he has to protect the goddess, and he has to go out there and, you know, get himself involved in hating on white folks and killing black folks like there ain't immigrants that hate you more. Like there ain't immigrants that hate you more. Okay? But you keep making it about you and white people when the immigrants are coming over here. Like one video I watched, and I might do a video on it yesterday, just a few hours ago. I watched a video where this guy was flipping out because he's over there in, I think it's Texas. And he's watching immigrants come in and take all the rinky-dink jobs. So now black people got to step up. They can't just work at McDonald's anymore. They can't just work at fast food and that, because they're giving these jobs to people that don't speak English. Or they speak broken English. They're giving these jobs, you know, to people that, you know, are not even legal citizens. They're bringing them right across the border to the job market. And this guy, he was light-skinned like her, he's flipping out. Because he's in the job office interviewing. It was a short. He's in the job office interviewing Mexicans. He can't even sit down and apply for a job. They won't even give him an application. But the question is not about blacks. The question is, it's about illegal aliens. It's about illegal immigration. It's not about blacks in that case. It's about illegal immigration. Now again, you know, the jobs that I've worked, and whenever I've had to work around immigrants, okay, the reason why I was able to get these jobs is because of, number one, the job that I'm applying for requires, for a long time now, the jobs that I've applied for have been jobs where I have to speak English good enough. I have to have a resume in this country. I have to have a PA, or I have to have a birth certificate in this country. I have to have a driver's license in this country. Everything has to be in this country. Till Joe Biden, everything has to be in this country. And so the jobs I had, and the immigrants are right there. They don't want immigrants, whether legal or illegal, unless they have proof of, college and English studies and that. The jobs that I get, even though I'm not a college graduate, I dropped out of college. I was in college for 1 year, and then, I was making more money than I was going to college. I was working 16 hours a day, and I couldn't do it. Shout out to the white man's daughter that criticized me. He says, my daughter doesn't, she's got a kid. I says, let me tell you something. I'm not going to work 16 hours a day, go home and take care of my 2 middle school age kids, okay? All right? And come home and go to school. No time for my kids. No time, okay, for me to study. I'm sleepy half the time. I says, I'll have to do this later, okay? I can't do it. But he tried to get all white on me and tell me, well, my daughter just had a baby and she's doing it. I said, your daughter's working 16 hours a day. And he just looked at me. He just looked at me, He just looked at me like, well, maybe, yeah, she ain't working 16 hours a day, is she? No, she's going to work whenever it's convenient for her to go to work. You missed out on the 16 hours a day, okay? But the point is, that the jobs that I've had to be a step up from immigrants. Okay, immigrants, the jobs that I've done over the last 10 years, immigrants have to have a college degree to do the jobs that I do. And it doesn't have to be a college degree here in the U.S., but they have to they have to have a college degree. Whereas I don't have to have a college degree because I'm an American. So before you go off on the immigrants, you need to consider that too. But as far as labor jobs, black folks should have been doing basic labor jobs a long time ago. They've been free for how long? So now the record is sealed. It's there. Thanks to knucklehead Joe Biden, okay, it's there. You have to step up as a black person, because if you don't step up as a black person and work your way into better jobs, immigrants will take your job. They're going to move you out of that job. Pretty soon, McDonald's, Burger King, all the fast food restaurants, and you name it, any labor jobs, housekeeping, fast food, dishwashing, working these landscaping companies for these landscapers that got landscaping businesses. These are all going. I already know white men out here that got Mexicans out here landscaping for him. He got a whole. There's a guy over there in my old home part of town that got. I was wondering why he was taking Mexicans and feeding them in McDonald's. I was wondering why he was doing that. These are his employees. And, on Saturday and Sunday, he only needs 1 or 2 employees because he's doing the smaller jobs and he's only working half a day. But during the week, I caught him. He have like about 10 Mexicans out there in the truck. and they in the back of the truck, and they go and they cut grass and they do everything, and now all he has to do is supervise. Okay? My question is, are they legal? Probably not. But I don't know what it is about Mexicans and other Spanish groups. Like, Mexicans are always the last ones to become legal. But Latinos and Puerto Ricans, they seem to be really interested when they come to this country. They seem to become really interested in becoming legal, but Mexicans think they don't have to be legal. See, that's what I mean about diversity. You can't look at a whole race and judge everybody for it, you know. But yet at the same time, the Mexican men appear to be the most humblest men you ever want to meet in this country, whereas Latinos and Puerto Ricans sometimes can be a little bit arrogant as far as me being around them, you know. But, you know, the Mexican men that I've met, you know, they have been very, very humble, even though they're not legal. They've been very humble in their behavior, whereas Latinos and Puerto Ricans, they've been like pretty arrogant. I guess that's because they have more education and more you know, work better jobs and that. They don't have to stick to just doing labor jobs all the time. But these are just things to consider. I could talk about this stuff all day, all night, into another day. The point is, you need to, they said one thing right on here. You need to ask questions. You need to go out there and meet people, ask questions. You need to listen to both parties, not just one. You need to listen to the people talk. You know what I mean? And I'm all for that. I'm not just sitting here saying, well, it's all about what DeRoy Cruz feels and thinks. The heck with the rest of y'all. That's not the way I believe. It's all about Christians, and we don't care about you non-Christians. That's not the way I believe. I believe all you non-Christians are going to hell. But it's not up to me to put you there. Okay? It's not up to me to put you there. You're going to hell because you don't know the Lord. You don't go to hell for any crime that you did. You go to hell because you don't know the Lord. Okay? Everything that isn't collected will be burned. That means people and things. That's another video. DeRoy Cruz, your Life Applications Officer. Thank you for watching. We will talk more about this later. I lost my thingy. Where's it at? Here it is. Goodbye.